Hello, world. Welcome to episode 58 of the Jimmy Canz Show. Classic Supercard retrospective time yet again. It is WrestleMania 5. All right, let's get into it. All right, the mega powers explode. We've been building this one for a while now. So, Mania 5 was a WWF event held on April the 2nd, 1989, from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Uh, Attendance was 18,946. It was billed as being held from Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino. In actuality, it was held across the street at the Boardwalk Hall, same as the previous year's WrestleMania. So this is a really big card. Lots of matches to discuss here. Action was called by Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse the Body Ventura. Let's get into it. All right. The opening it was on pay-per-view and later distributed on home video, courtesy of Coliseum Video. So let's get into it. Opening contest was Hercules facing King Haku with Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner. The crown was not on the line here. Two powerhouses in this one. Haku very agile as well. Herc, all pure power. They were really trying to build up Hercules at this point, and who had recently made the babyface turn, so they really wanted to get him over. It's an opening contest and everything. So Herc gets the win in this one. It was a so-so match. I mean, I'll discuss it a little later. I would not have put this on to open the show. I'll be quite honest with you. I mean, I see why they did it, because they build the babyface to win the match. But even so, there's another match I would have given this spot to and given a little more time to as well. So next up was a tag team contest. It's the WrestleMania debut of the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, and they took on the team of the Twin Towers, which consisted of the Big Boss Man and the African Dream Akeem, with their manager Slick in their corner. This is a David and Goliath type matchup. The Towers end up getting the win in this one. Next up was a match between Brutus the Barber, Beefcake, and $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, with Virgil in his corner. The $1 million belt was not on the line, even though, DiBiase had recently debuted it. Match went about 10 minutes or so and ended in a double countout. Virgil got involved, chicanery on the outside, and both men end up being counted out in that one. Next up was a tag team contest between the Bushwhackers and the fabulous Rougeau brothers, now managed by the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Two completely contrasting styles here. The Bushwhackers, previously the Sheep Herders, were very, quote unquote hardcore before there was hardcore in their days prior to joining the Fed. And then when they came to the Fed and were rechristened the Bushwhackers, they became a comedic tag team. The Rougeaus were very technical individuals, second generation performers and everything. So there's a real contrast of styles here. The Bushwhackers did end up getting the win here. I mean, it's Mania, and especially this time frame in wrestling, with pay-per-views being fewer and far between, they tended to lean more on having baby faces go over in the vast majority of things. They wanted to send the paying crowd home happy, so to speak. So there you have it. Next up was a singles match between the Blue Blazer and Mr. Perfect. This was Perfect's debut of the traditional singlet from just normal trunks. Obviously, we all know who the Blue Blazer actually is. This is his, first foray in the Fed, and he was trying to make it on his own. So he donned the mask and went under a different persona as to not be pigeonholed in with the rest of his family and everything. And honestly, this is the match that I would have had start the show. I don't think that they gave either of these two individuals time to show what they could do. I mean, this match right here, a young Owen Hart and Kurt Hennig could have stole the show. I mean, this could have been an amazing match. Instead, it goes about 5.5 minutes with Perfect getting, the W via his perfect plex. So, I would have opened the show with that. Yeah, granted, the heel went over in it, but I think, I would have put them on first, and I would have given them at least 10 minutes, to put on a decent show. And then I would have reduced, the Beefcake DiBiase match maybe, or the Bushwhacker Rougeau tag match to make up some time there. But obviously I don't have the book, so I didn't make the call. Next up was the handicap match for the WWF World Tag Team Championship. The champions Demolition, Axe, and Smash taking on the team of the Powers of Pain, along with their manager, Mr. Fuji. So, this is the culmination of the feud that started at Survivor Series, where there was the double turn, where Demolition turned babyface, and Powers of Pain turned heel and aligned with Fuji. Demolition has been, champs since the previous year's Mania, and this, was a very plotting kind of match. I mean, you've got pretty much 4 kicky punchy guys, and Fuji, who is no longer an active competitor and hasn't been for quite some time. Demolition gets the W in this one, and continuing on to their long title reign. Next up was the match between rugged Ronnie Garvin and Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin in his corner. It was an okay match. I mean, like I said, this is Garvin's pay-per-view debut, really. I mean, yeah, he was in the Rumble, but this is his debut in an actual match, not just a battle royal. He's a former NWA champion. I think if you want to establish him, you need to probably have him go over here, but that's not what happened. Bravo ends up getting the fall in this one and taking the match. Don't really see why. It was only about a 3-minute match, and it didn't go anywhere. Like, that's the one thing with this is there's a lot of matches here that didn't have any real build. There are some that have a lot of build, and then there's some that have no build. Like Herc and Haku, had a bit of a build because, like I said, Herc could just turn babyface, breaking away from Heenan, and everything. So there was that story there. The Rockers, Twin Towers had no build. Beefcake and DiBiase, pseudo build. Nothing real major there. Bushwhackers and Rougeaus, they've been feuding a little bit, but nothing real serious. There's nothing, on the line there. Perfect and Blazer had no build. The Demolition Powers Pain thing had a good build. This match had no build. So as we go through, you're going to see there's some with great build, and then there's some that just have no build whatsoever. So a little up and down there in terms of the card, but is what it is. Next up was a tag team matchup. The team of Strikeforce, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, taking on the Brainbusters, managed by Bobby Heenan. It was Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. Recently moved over from the now, I guess, WCW promoted NWA in the Southeast to join the New York crew. And this match, like I said, didn't have a lot of build to it, but it set up a story going forward. Santana accidentally hits Martel, and Martel throws a hissy fit and leaves his partner. And then, the Brainbusters do Brainbuster stuff, double team Tito, and pick up the win. But essentially, what this match was set up to do was A, get the Brainbusters over as a credible tag team in the WWF, and B, split up Strikeforce, turn Martel heel, which set up a feud that lasted, pretty much the remainder of the year between Martel and Santana. So it did what it was supposed to do there. Next up, we kind of get the payoff of the Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake feud. Jake the Snake Roberts taking on Andre the Giant with Bobby Heenan. Special referee, Big John Studd. So basically, like this was to blow off that feud and set up another feud between Studd and Andre. Obviously, they had a feud years prior that met at the first WrestleMania and the Body Slam Challenge. They're trying to rekindle that feud here. It really doesn't happen. Andre's health is not allowing him to do what he used to be able to do, and it's becoming more and more obvious. Also, Studd's run here didn't last as long as I think that they originally anticipated. So, there was that as well. So it just kind of fizzled and didn't go, I think, exactly where they wanted it to go. But, Jake does get the win via DQ in this one. Obviously, things all fall apart, and Andre puts his hands on Studd, and there's a disqualification. So there was that. Next up was a tag team matchup between the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, taking on the team of the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. This is just a continuation of the Hart Foundation feud against Jimmy Hart, which has kind of been going on since they broke away from him. And this is their real first pairing of Honky Tonk and Valentine. They're not an official team yet. That would happen within the next, I think it happens in early 90, where they officially become a team and coin themselves Rhythm and Blues. And that whole thing takes off. But, this is just, two singles guys managed by the same guy slapped together to take on the Hart Foundation here. And, the Hart Foundation get the W, get one over on Hart yet again. And, I think this pretty much put that Hart Foundation, Jimmy Hart feud to bed. Thank goodness, because like I said, it was getting old. It's been dragging a little too long, in my opinion. So next up was the bout for the Intercontinental Championship. Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, taking on challenger, Ravishing Rick Rude, with Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner. This one got set up at the Rumble prior when Rude attacked Warrior during the pose down. All in all, a pretty good match. Told a good story. Rude gets the W and wins the Intercontinental title in this one when Heenan interferes. Warrior is going to hit a suplex on Rude from the apron back to the inside of the ring, and Heenan hooks Warrior's foot and holds on to it, which the official doesn't see, so the Warrior can't use his legs for leverage to kick out, and Rude pins Warrior and becomes Intercontinental Champion, and that's feud continues on all the way up through the summer We will discuss that, you know, as we get to it. But yeah, this feud is not done yet. But we have a new Intercontinental Champion and one Ravishing Recruit. Next up was Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on Bad News Brown. Again, no real major build here. And this ended the way a lot of Duggan Brown matches ended. Neither one of these guys ever really wanted to take a clean L. To be quite honest, most of the time, you know, when they're in there with another known superstar, it's some kind of shady finish or a double count out or a double DQ. You'll see it, you know, time and time again as we go through and talk about them. So, you know, this one ended in a double disqualification. They both go to they start brawling. Bad News grabs a chair. Duggan has a 2x4. Yada yada yada. Just a whole big schmoz and a waste of time. To be quite honest, didn't really need to be on the card because it didn't do anything. Next was the payoff to the Red Rooster Bobby Heenan angle that had been going on for a few months, where you know, Bobby blamed Rooster for all, you know, he wasn't, you know, a quality wrestler and shouldn't be in the Heenan family, and Rooster had enough, turned babyface and yada yada. So you have Red Rooster against Bobby the Brain Heenan. Heenan had the Brooklyn Brawler in his corner. You know, it was a comedic match, really, and it was just kind of done, I think, you know, to buy a little time. You know, it lasted 31 seconds. I mean, it was a pointless match. And, you know, Rooster and Brawler had a little bit of a feud, but neither one of them really was that credible of a competitor. So it's just, like I said, it was a waste of time. Like, there was a lot of things that, you know, just didn't make a lot of sense on this card. A lot of ups and downs. And then last but not least, our main event of the evening for the WWF Championship, Hulk Hogan challenging the champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage. The Mega Powers explode. You know, Liz was out there. She was in a neutral corner. All in all, you know, it was a pretty solid match. I mean, Hogan did his Hogan things, Savage did his Savage things. But this run with Savage as champion was pretty much only done because Hogan needed to go away and film No Holds Barred. That was done. Now they needed to promote the movie, so what better way to promote the movie than actually have the star of the movie be the champion? So surprise, surprise, Hogan wins back the championship that, you know, he technically didn't lose. You know, completely solidifying Savage's heel turn. And, you know, we move on, you know, and to, you know, well, we don't move on because this feud's not over yet. Obviously, like I said, we've got to promote a movie. So we'll discuss that at a later point in time. So all in all, that was WrestleMania 5. Like I said, some good highs. You know, the lows are lows. Like I said, the Mega Power storyline was done really well. We finally got the payoff to it. The Demolition story in Powers Pain, you know, kind of came to a close. The Jake thing came to, and Andre thing came to a close. Good job establishing, you know, the Busters as a credible tag team. Broke up Strike Force. You advance more, you know, the Rude Warrior story. You know, it's still got more layers and more mileage in it. So, like I said, there were ups and there were downs. You know, 10-belt scale. I think there were more ups than downs. Like I said, I think there were some misses in this card. Certain competitors not given enough time to showcase themselves. Other guys given too much time. Some matches that didn't really have any major build. And ended, weirdly, and then other matches that kind of had a little bit of a build and weren't given a lot of time. I mean, like I said, you took all that time kind of talking about the Rooster Heenan thing, and then they're out there for 30 seconds. Whereas, you had all that, or no real build between Blazer and Perfect, but those two guys, we both know how good both those individuals were. You could have given them a little more time, obviously, if that one was only going to go 30 seconds. Or ways to I think, move things around in this card and make it a little better. But, the Mega Power storyline coming to fruition and all that, helps bump this thing up a little bit. So out of 10 belts, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So that's that. That was WrestleMania 5. Next up in our classic retrospectives, I think we'll discuss Clash of the Champions 6 will be our next one up. I was at the Raging Cajun or something like that, I think was the subtitle on that one. And it was, that Clash was held, a few days before. I want to think the next pay-per-view was Wrestle War, so that was to help set up Wrestle War. So there you have it. We got more coming down the pike. Give the channel a like, a share, subscribe wherever you are. Hope you're doing well.